Hi, I'm Eleri Gibbin.
And I'm Gethin Gibbin. We farm in Drefach Farm in Whitland, Carmarthenshire. We milk 350 autumn-calving cows. We try and calve in a fairly tight block. So at the moment the cows have all been served. We've stopped serving now, and they'll soon be going outside to start grazing now, middle of the month.
We supply Leprino Foods, who are based in North Wales. The cows are producing 39 litres per cow per day.
We farm about 500 acres, 400 owned and the other 100 rented in. We travelled to Holland and Germany and Belgium 6 years ago to look at shed designs. We were mainly looking at slats at the time, but when we went over there we saw all the new roof lights which we've installed, and then we did a typical European design of a perimeter feed fence, so we're feeding on all four sides of the shed. The cows are all housed on slats which we brought over from Belgium, and they milk through a 50-point milking rotary which we bought from GA. There's 330 cubicles inside the shed and a straw pen for spillover or calving or for hospital usage. The cows are on water beds and we cover them with sawdust and some lime or paper crumb bedding. At Drefach we adopt a multi-cut system. So last year we did 6 cuts starting mid to late April and every 4.5 weeks from thereafter. So we did manage to get 6 cuts in before September last year. Also last year we went on to a forage wagon instead of a forage harvester. So we were taking lighter cuts every 4.5 weeks, 24-hour wilt, and then we had a silage compactor on the clamp with a buck rake to make sure that it was consolidated properly.
We're very fortunate in Drefach that the 3 clamps are very close to each other. They can also be opened at the same time. By using a crop-specific inoculant, it enables us to put the correct inoculant on pending on weather conditions. So then that allows us then to feed different crops, whether that's grass, whole crop or maize, throughout the winter, starting in early autumn and feeding exactly the same to the cows throughout the winter.
Since going on to opening all the clamps up at the same time and using the Lallemand additive, we found that the diet's the same from beginning to the end of winter. The cows are far more even throughout the winter, so the lactation, we don't get any peaks and troughs with lactation. So the cows just give us a consistent lactation throughout the winter. Because of the weather conditions we have here in West Wales, I think Magniva have a range of additives which we can apply depending on the situation we have. Even up to the morning of ensiling, we can change Anwen's been good in swapping some additives over if the weather's changed overnight for us. So I think that just makes common sense that we're using what the crop needs.
In a very difficult year again in West Wales, we went out early to do some grass testing, made sure that the grass was in its perfect sweet spot, the energies were in a great place as well as the fibres. So we then decided it was about time to mow when the weather conditions allowed. And by going early, it gives you that extra opportunity in the year to start off early to get that crop in, that early high quality forage in the clamp.
By getting that first cut in early, it just gives you so many options throughout the rest of the season. We find that if the first cut goes astray, that it just makes the rest of the season very, very difficult. So last year we did manage 2 early cuts in April, and then everything just followed suit. And weather seemed to work out for us.
Yeah, again, for the 2nd or 3rd year running that I remember, they've managed to do the best silage from all my clients, that we managed the first and second cuts both over 12 ME, perfect dry matter at around 32%, and because they reseed also quite regularly, we've got proteins between 16 and 18% coming back. You know, I test them monthly, so you know, it's consistent throughout the clamp and also then throughout the winter. So what we're aiming for is high nutritious forage that's got the energies, the proteins, but also the fibre, because we also want the cows to make the most out of every blade of grass. Obviously a lot of work goes on in the background with regards to reseeding, nutrient management, fertiliser and slurry and so forth, but also it's being keen enough to get out there early, measuring the grass, testing it for nutrients, and also not being shy to get that first cut off early.
We purchased the robot back last autumn, then we got it installed first week of December last year. So it's been in for half the winter this year. We went with a head twin robot because it was twice the size of anything else on the market. So it gives us more capacity for any catch-up. So if there's any breakdown during the day, it's got a quicker catch-up time, and it gives us more options when it comes to possibly increasing cow numbers. We were taking 2 hours a day by the time we'd filled the wagon and fed out. So it was going to save us 2 hours a day. It's saved on using a tractor, wagon, diesel for filling and for mixing. And we can now concentrate on young calves when they're being born to get colostrum into them as soon as we can, while the robot's getting feed into the cows from straight off the milking parlour. It's during autumn calving, that was a stress point where there wasn't enough of us here, one for feeding cows, one for feeding calves, one for milking. There's only 2 of us on duty at the time. So it was taken, the robot takes away the stress of getting the cows fed while we're feeding the calves. Since we've installed the robot, we've saved 2 hours a day on actual feeding time. Milk's gone up by about 3 litres per cow per head per day, and the cows are just a lot more content in the shed. They're a lot quieter. There's no bullying anymore, so the shy cows can get to the feed without any hassle. So the head twin wagon, it's a two horizontal auger wagon rather than a vertical auger, so it's a lot quicker chopping, it's a lot more vigorous chopping. It runs on magnets on the floor, so it charges on the red power line. So while it's being filled and while it's idle, it's being charged, and then as soon as it leaves the power line, it goes off on the battery. So it'll do 15 feeds a day at the moment, which has been programmed, but it'll do any amount, and any amount of pushing up that needs doing all day. In the winter, we feed a mixture because of all the clamps being open at the same time. So we've got a mixture of first, second, third, fourth cut, maize, whole crop, blend, yeast and minerals. And when recommended that we go on to the Lallemand Room Ignition because it's a 3-in-1 product, and we're very, very happy with the results we're having with it. We've been using this product as an insurance policy against any mycotoxin issues, the yeast for forage utilisation. And the benefits we've seen is a healthy herd throughout the winter. The cows have performed really, really well. We've had no issues with stomach problems, so we think it's doing a really good job.
Lallemand have a farm mix range containing Levucell SC, which is a rumen-specific live yeast. Here at Drefach, we use a product called Room Ignition, which is our Rolls-Royce choice in cow diets. Room Ignition contains live yeast, hydrolyzed yeast and yeast cell wall. This helps with digestion, any mycotoxin threats, and also helps with cow intake.
At Drefach, because we're autumn calving, we put a huge emphasis on getting the forage right here. So whether that means reseeding, ensiling, testing the grass. So we put everything in 100% into getting the forage right so that we can maximise what the cows will give us in the autumn and the winter. So using an additive on the forage is a no-brainer really for us, because we try and get every part of the equation right.